Today I'm going to take you through some simple breathing exercises which are really useful at any time of life, but our focus today is going to be in the pre- and postnatal period for women. So what I'm going to show you is the three-part breath, and we're going to move that on into an Ujjayi breath as well. This is a really useful exercise when you're in your third trimester and you're finding yourself becoming short of breath, because as the baby grows they start to move up into your chest and constrict your lungs a little bit. So this is really good for opening up the lungs and getting a lot more air into the lungs. It's really good for the baby because it provides them with a boost of oxygen and it will make you feel better. The practice, if you practice it regularly and for extended periods, is also really useful for regulating your blood pressure. In the postnatal period, it's a good exercise to get going with before you are ready to do any physical exercise. It's good for strengthening, for setting up your core, and just for finding yourself back in your body again after you've been through quite a large change. So first you need to find yourself a comfortable seated position. It's quite useful to sit on a cushion, and I'm sitting on a cushion here. You may want to sit on a few more, particularly in later pregnancy. It's often much more comfortable to get your hips higher than your knees. So if you have to sit on a couple of cushions just to get yourself into that position, it's fine. If you want to sit with your feet out in front of you, that is fine. I prefer to put them here for a little bit of stability, but if you're not that flexible in the hips, or if you've got pelvis problems, you might not want to. It's also perfectly okay to sit up against a wall, so you've got the support in your back, but just make sure that you're really tall in your spine. So take a moment and just check in with your posture without judgment. So are you sitting evenly? Are your sit bones square if you've got more weight in one side than the other? Are you sitting nice and tall, opening up the chest, rolling back the shoulders? Just feel the breath. Just observe what your breath is doing right now. It's really useful to do that just for a few breaths, just so that you are aware of what your starting point was. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. You don't want them up near your ears. You don't want one higher than the other. So just make everything as nice and aligned and square as you can, because you want to get lots of room for your lungs to grow, because we're going to put quite a lot of air into our lungs now. So to start off with, place your hands on your low belly. If you're pregnant, that's going to be the very bottom of your bump. If you're not, then you're looking just above your hips. And you're going to breathe in through your nose, nice and smooth, nice long deep breath, and you want to direct that breath down into your hands. So taking a big deep breath down into the hands. Pause if there's a natural pause there that you would like to take, and then gently breathe out through the mouth. We're going to stay here for a little while, probably for about 8 breaths. Breathing in nice and deeply, feeling the movement in your hands so that you know that you're actually driving the mechanism of the breathing right down into your lower abdomen. If it helps, you can visualize that the breath is going all the way down into your abdomen. You can visualize it going all the way into your baby. So what we're looking for here is a nice, gentle, measured breath. Keeping it nice and deep right down into the base of your lungs. And particularly in late pregnancy, we often find that we actually change the manner of our breathing, and people suffering from anxiety do the same as well, and they tend to breathe more into their upper chest and less into their lower abdomen. So it's really good to be mindful of this, and to really be using the diaphragm, the muscle here, just allowing that to relax and let the air right the way down into your abdomen. When you're comfortable with that, move your hands up to your lower ribs. This may feel a little bit strange with your arms because they're not going to be very relaxed because you've got a hole in there, but that's fine. Maintaining the breath you had before, I want you to now breathe that little bit deeper, in fact breathe a little bit wider, so that you can feel the breath moving your ribs. So your hands should be moving out as your chest inflates and fills with air. Again, in later pregnancy we often feel quite a lot of tenderness around these ribs. They often get kicked and moved around quite a lot. So it's quite nice to drive the breath into that area. Allow the muscles between your ribs to relax. The very last thing we're going to do is move our fingertips to our collarbones, and you're not going to feel very much movement in this position, but continuing the nice deep wide breath that we've already established, we're going to try and fill the lungs right up to the top, and you'll feel a very slight movement in your fingertips. It doesn't need to be huge, you just need to be aware of it. So now it really helps to imagine that the whole of your torso is just filling up with air and expanding like a balloon. Allow yourself to relax with each breath. Once you've established this breath, you can take your hands away if you wish. And just maintain that nice deep, wide, full breath. And you can maintain this for as long as you wish. If you want to take this a step further, you can take it into ocean breath. The mechanism of this is quite simple. You just close down your glottis, you close your throat a little bit so that you can hear the air rushing through your throat in your ears. You can close it down quite a lot so that it can be heard in the room around you, but that's not particularly necessary. It's called ocean breath because it sounds like the waves crashing on the shore. It's very relaxing. It's a really good breath to use during labour. It helps to relax the body, and it has a noticeable effect on lowering the blood pressure, which can be really useful if you are becoming stressed or anxious during labour and you need to calm yourself down and take a step back. It's a really useful breath to be aware of, and the only way you're going to be able to access that in labour is if you are used to it beforehand, because anything that we learn in labour usually goes, anything that we learn before labour usually goes out of our mind during labour. So the thing you need to do is to practice this on a regular basis every day if you can, until it becomes habit. And when it's a habit, it will come back to you when you need it. As a postnatal mother, practice this regularly. It will help to reset you after all of the strain of looking after your baby. It will help you to restore your health back to how you were before you